Yo, I almost didn't do an episode today, y'all. When I tell you, man, things was crazy at work today. I just been running around doing all of the things and also, just family stuff happening. I was about to be like, man, I'm just going to have a normal lunch like a normal person today. And then I thought to myself, you out there trying to win a daggone fantasy basketball championship. And I signed up for this 3 seasons ago. This is my third season creating content around fantasy basketball. And last year we had 44 people win championships. We're going to keep it going. So, with that being said, we believe every NBA fan that plays fantasy football should also play fantasy basketball. So here we are, back in the whip, shooting another episode for you. Just to let you know, this is the third episode, actually the fourth? This is the fourth episode we did this week? This is the fourth episode we did this week. One of them is on podcast, the other two are not. This one will be. Like, I'm going to make it my business. And just to let you know, the reason that I didn't put the other ones on the podcast is because I just didn't have the bandwidth, y'all. Like, literally, when I came home from work, did all the stuff with my family, looked down like, am I going to be able to upload it? I didn't even have time to upload it. So the YouTube upload is relatively simple because I'm filming right on my device right here in my car, and then I just upload to YouTube, make a little thumbnail, boom, 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 share it. But the podcast is a little more intricate. I have to put it into a editing software, add ads to it, all of the things. So I'm going to do my best to get this episode up on the audio podcast. So let's jump right in. Alfred Shumpert. We have a news update on what his injury is, and there is good news. So the good news is that he will likely be able to come to training camp next season, start the season with the Rockets, and have a clean start to the year next season. The bad news is chances are he's out for this regular season and definitely for your fantasy season. It came back that he has a severe ankle sprain, and severe ankle sprain, or my apologies, severe ankle injury, I believe was the report. And also he has a bone bruise on his knee. So the good news is he didn't have any significant tears or anything like that. It looks like it's a bone bruise and a sprained ankle. So what does that mean for you? We talked about it a little bit already earlier this week. We talked about Amin Thompson specifically and how much potential he has, but the fact that Ime Udoka might not give him the keys to the car quite yet. So other players I talked about keeping an eye on were Jacques Landau and Cam Whitmore. Cam Whitmore is out. And at the time of recording this, the Rockets have yet to play a game without Şengün. So we're going to see almost like the first version of these Şengünless. That sounds kind of hard. Şengünless Rockets, and seeing what Ime Udoka cooks up in order to get them by. Now, it's worth noting that Jeff Green is in the mix, and when Şengün didn't play this season, they had Jeff Green start at center. So we don't want that. We want Landau. We want Amin Thompson. Chances are they won't start Amin Thompson, but he might get an increase in minutes. So if you've been paying attention, that Amin Thompson, when he gets on the floor, he produces. He's like a daggone magnet for fantasy value. So if he's on the floor, it'll be like a ticker over his head with points just racking up and adding up. So I'm looking to be proactive and add Amin Thompson now, and I would recommend that you do the same. The next thing I want to talk about is the watering hole. What do I mean by watering hole? When I was a kid, my mom used to take us fishing, and there were little holes where there would be tons of fish there. So it would change, right? So some Sundays, some weekends we would go fishing and fish weren't biting. And then she would be like, I found a watering hole, fishing hole. And she would go to the fishing hole. Maybe it was fishing hole. Watering hole sounds like something you drink. Anyway, you look at it. I don't remember what my mama called it, but we would go there, and when I tell you, the fish would be biting. The Memphis Grizzlies are now a fishing hole. watering hole, fishing hole, whatever you want to call it. This is where we will get our value from. One of the places we'll get our value from. And it's going to change. So you need to be really intentional about how you're moving on the fantasy basketball waiver wire so you can take advantage of it. And as always, I keep saying it. I keep repeating it. I don't give a shit, Sue Puppy, who it is. If you need to drop a player so you could get someone into that roster spot to generate some points for you, then you do it. We are not holding on to these players right now. So any player that I talk about in a waiver wire capacity, gentlemen, ladies, drop them like a bad habit if you need to. There is no shame in it. Don't be like getting attached. Well, you know what? I really like Cam Whitmore. He put up 50 points for me, 50 fantasy points for me. I gotta be loyal to him. I can't let him go. Huh? Well, what? Where they do that at? Like, don't get attached to these players at this time of year. During the season, you never know who's going to turn into a Jalen Johnson type player, right? Jalen Johnson, before his injury, was like, oh my God, if you grabbed him off of the waiver wire, you won the daggone fantasy basketball lotto. That's the kind of feeling. So players like that, it happens, right? Right now, though, for the most part, most of these guys that I share their names, droppable when necessary. So let's talk about the Memphis Grizzlies and this fishing hole. The first guy I really want you to lean into, and we've talked about him this week, is Jake Larriva. So Jake Larriva is putting up wild numbers. We talked about him on Sunday show. I got to just come back and tell you, I would set the filters on your fantasy basketball app to search the Grizzlies and monitor what they're doing. This is something we want to pay attention to nightly. Every single night that they play, I want you to pay attention to what they are doing and seeing if you can spot any trends. The trend that I'm seeing is that Jake Larriva might very well be the winner out of all of this, in turn leading to you being the winner of your league. So if he's available, grab him, hold, and see what happens. He has the Memphis Grizzlies have a decent schedule this week, and I believe they have one next week as well. So it's someone you can hold on to and kind of see what materializes over the next couple of days and hopefully next couple of weeks as you secure the fantasy basketball championship. So that's the first guy from the Memphis Grizzlies. The next one is a guy that, honestly, it's like if Zach Randolph and Bernard King had a baby. It's like Zach Randolph and Bernard King had a daggone baby, it would be Gigi Jackson. And don't get me wrong, Gigi Jackson, you have to expect some inconsistency. The young man, I believe, is like 19 years old. He's a kid, y'all. He's a young man. So there's going to be some inconsistency. There's going to be some ups and downs. However, in this season of silly season, where players who are the 9th, 10th player on their team are the people that are actually producing at a high level and getting the minutes, Gigi Jackson is a gold mine if he gets the minutes. So for me, I like Jake Larriva a little better, but I put Gigi Jackson next up. The next couple of guys you want to take a look at and just monitor: Luke Kennard, Santi Aldama, Vince Williams, Jordan Goodwin. Lamar Stevens is one that we don't hear enough about. So pay attention. Again, a trend to spot for. If you see a guy go from he played 10 minutes on Monday, on Wednesday he played 25, and then on Thursday he played 35, that's the kind of player you want to hold on to see if that 35 minutes can stay steady, which in most of these guys' cases, it might happen on any given night. You want to monitor the trends and also monitor the injury trends. Some of these guys like Jake Larriva and Gigi Jackson are super healthy, not getting rested. Some of the other guys are getting rested. Vince Williams, for example, has been rested here and there. I don't know if he's injured, resting, or what, but that's something that you want to be really mindful of, is who is healthy and who is playing consistent games in a row and having an increase in their minutes game to game, right? The next thing I want to do is give a quick shout out to Jamal Abdel Bassett. He gave us our first ever super thanks on the channel, so I got to take time to give a shout out to Jamal. I told you, Jamal, in the comment section, my next child I will probably name Jamal, even if it's a girl. Let that sink in, right? So big shout out to Jamal, and that just makes me want to let you know, if you want to support the channel, I've never asked anybody for a super thanks or a super chat, but Jamal opening that door makes me, I would be remiss if I didn't mention, if you want to support the channel, you can give us a super thanks or a super chat when we go live on Sundays. Another thing I want to keep in mind with you guys is that we want you to be a two-way player. On offense, we want you to watch and subscribe, engage, comment on the YouTube channel, but also on defense, we want you to listen to the audio version of this show. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is fantasy basketball playoff exits. They don't talk about this, right? Fantasy basketball playoffs, the exit version, right? So some of you are going to get into the playoffs this year and you might lose, which happens depending on how many leagues you're in, whatever. If you're in one league, I always recommend people be in multiple leagues, right? But you might lose one of those. I doubt it, because you've been following the channel and you a fantasy basketball sicko like me, so you're prepared and you're aggressively using the waiver wire, dropping people, adding people, etc. But let's just say by chance you happen to lose in the fantasy basketball playoffs. What does that mean? How do you respond? So the first thing I would tell you is, do not delete the app. Do not unfollow our page. Do not unfollow us on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube, which people do. Don't leave the Discord. Because for us, fantasy basketball is not a seasonal thing. It's a year-round practice. So in order for you to win, so let's say you do get beat and you're exiting your fantasy playoffs, what better way to make sure that you don't feel that feeling again than to stay active in our community? So go to the Discord, voice your opinion, shoot me a message. You can even email me at info@believeInFantasy, and I'll walk you through it, because I'm not just here for like, hey, here's the tips, here's the tricks. I'm also about making sure that I'm serving my community. If you take time to show up for this show and for me and what we're building here, then I want to make sure that I show up for you. So that's the first thing. Don't delete everything, right? Don't just be like, I'm taking my ball, man, and I'm going home. I'm done with this, man. Screw this crap. Screw Yahoo, man. And forget about ESPN. It's whack, man. I'm deleting that crap, man. Let's go play some fantasy baseball. Like, I don't want you to do that. What I want you to do is, first of all, don't delete the apps. Second, find yourself a Dynasty league. And if you are in a Dynasty league, let me know in the comments. Just put a crown there. Just put a crown emoji if you are in a Dynasty league, because you got king status with that. Because this is what a Dynasty league does for you, or a keeper league, but definitely a Dynasty league. And I'll explain what both of those are. But what a Dynasty league does for you, it gives you, like, it serves you the fantasy all year round. You know that feeling that you get when you draft your team? It's like a newborn baby. You're like, oh, I got a little baby here. I got DeJounte Murray. Oh, Victor Wembanyama, my baby. Right? Imagine having that feeling all the year long. And that's what Dynasty does for you. So after you're finished with the season, you can still look back at your team. And quickly, just to let you know what a keeper league is, if you don't know, a keeper league is when you're allowed to keep a certain amount of players, and a Dynasty league is when you can keep everybody, which is crazy, right? So I want to also mention that for my Dynasty fantasy basketball sickos, fanatics, right? This is good. When you lose, it's an opportunity to prepare for next year, because the guys who are active, right, are going to be dropping players, adding players. There was one year I had to drop Jarrett Allen and somebody grabbed him because I was competing for a championship. You're going to have managers who are going to have to make tough decisions about, do I hold on to this guy and play another year, or do I drop them and compete for a championship? I always lean towards competing for a championship. But one of my Dynasty squads right now, Ja Morant is on my team, Scotty Barnes is on my team, Joel Embiid is on my team, Alfred Shumpert is on my team. I can't drop them. So for fantasy managers who lose at Dynasty, look at it like every night for waivers, you're going shopping at Target. You're just like going down the aisles. Who did he drop? Grant Williams? Does he have a future? Oh, somebody dropped him in Thompson? I think I'll take that for Dynasty because we're thinking long term. So that's what I wanted to say for my Dynasty players. Make sure when you lose, you don't delete the phone and delete the app and like give up. No, you go shopping every night to build your roster. And for people who are not in a Dynasty league, all you have to do is go to our Discord. Go to the League Finder channel. You'll be able to find a Dynasty league. If not this year, definitely next year. We always have people looking for replacements. So we have inactive owners in certain leagues and people are like, hey, do you want to join a league? That's something that happens. To join our Discord, all you have to do is visit BelieveInFantasy.com. Now, if you guys have any questions for me, just drop them in the comments. I will respond to every single comment during the fantasy basketball playoffs. And if you have more than one question, please start a new thread and just start a new comment so that way I don't lose it. And if you can support the channel, check out this playlist right here.